Okay, so I know nothing about this. But there's no sound on the title screen. There's something weird that happens when you use console. Well, there's a lot of things which are suboptimal, but not the least of which is I get this weird buzzing sound. But obviously, once some actual audio starts, then you can't really hear it. And of course, you can't hear it on stream anyway. Yeah, speaking of audio, to just drown it out. So apparently, as usual, Steam spoils the what kind of game it is. I thought it might be like sci-fi action or something, but it's actually like it's sort of like a puzzle thing, I guess. Cursor speed. You know, the better player that you are, you always gotta turn sensitivity and cursor speed up because it just means you're so accurate and precise. Skip unseen content. What does that mean? Skip unseen. Fast forward, skip mode. Oh, well, I don't have to use the skip mode itself. English, Japanese, it's always interesting to try it like that with subs. The sub is always better than the dub, which try-hard people say. Which is true for some things, but you know. Sometimes, actually, the dub gets a bigger budget, though, because it's like when, you know, like the original Dragon Ball Z was made, it didn't have the kind of fanfare that it did over time. What is the third one, then? Starting the game with selected language. Language cannot be switched. Force autosave when the save icon is displayed on the bottom right. Do not close the game. Just the amount of hoops you have to jump through to make a console streaming thing work is so fucking annoying. Names, characters, places, or imagination, blah, blah, blah. So, any kind of failure, say, are we going to lose to a puzzle like in Professor Layton? That was hilarious. We actually lost to the, some kind of a dollhouse. And I played Plague Tale at like the perfect time because it was just about to go off the Game Pass, apparently. See, imagine if I didn't die there and end the run, it would have been like, you know, maybe I wouldn't have been able to finish it. I would have had to actually buy it. Which I wouldn't have mind doing. It's just like, now we never have to worry about that because it's just over. Creepy Circus is gonna be run all by androids like Detroit, where there was that one guy cloned like 50 times who, I forget his name. Oh, is it gonna be like a murder case that we actually have to solve? That'd be cool. Oh, I hope that's what it is. Like I'm a detective. AI Somnium files, I think. Yeah. It's amazing how many of these games I've never even heard of, but some of them are pretty good. Like I had never heard of Kathy Rain, but that was amazing. Not really related to the Gauntlet, but still. Day 1 Friday. SIG AI. Friday 10:54 p.m. Bloom Park. He died facing the wrong way, I suppose. I wonder if it's even going to have voice acting. It might not. Oh, that'd be... I wasn't expecting the subject matter to be anything like this. For some reason, I thought it would be like, some kind of action thing. During investigations, the main character, Date, inspects... Interesting name. Inspects and collects testimony. Progress by examining objects and talking to people. Date's position is fixed, but you can move the cursor and your view. What do you mean his position is fixed? Try looking around and moving the cursor to find something that catches your eye and inspect it. The fence. Oh, it's a first person. Oh, I don't like that. Let me just walk around. Shit. And then games that do let you walk around, the walking is usually very stiff and contrived, like even Detroit and stuff, where there's that weird story game stiffness. It's hard to explain, but I don't know why they're like that.
A horse from a merry-go-round.
Oh, he does actually have a voice.
It looks like it's skewered.
This is not a message from the criminal. The park was already in this state before the crime. My best hypothesis is that this is the result of a teenage prank.
They didn't introduce any of the characters, though. It's just like we just start, and this Aiba is like our assistant. I guess you're supposed to already be familiar with everything, but they could give you a little. Like, this might be an ongoing series. Skewered horse. I can't really even see what that is, but it's something like a prank, just flavor. Are we going to have, like, the step ladder thing with the Ferris wheel like we do with Maya? Old Ferris wheel is over here. Feels like an enormous eye staring down at you. Kind of like the whole symbol of the game, right? Some of it that isn't considered pertinent will have no dialogue associated with it, I guess. Has it been like this all day? Roof. It's been 8 years since Bloom Park closed. Oh, so it was closed all along. The weather's gotten to it pretty bad. Control room. Barrier. They didn't give you any context. I'm sure they will as it goes on, but like, this must be in the future, some futuristic society. Who are these characters? You don't know anything. In the old days, they used to use yellow caution tape for this. Now we've got cheap holographic technology that can do the job even better. Well, sometimes we use good old-fashioned yellow tape. Sometimes you still use it, you mean? Parasol. He's even calling the holographic stuff cheap. So that means it probably isn't like a physical presence that actually stops you from going. It just looks like you're not supposed to go there. Whereas the tape would actually physically, you'd have to at least cut through it or something. A parasol is getting pelted by, I guess you could just step over it. Pelted by the rain. Horse upside down, it almost looks pitiful. Oh, that's different than the other skewered horses. But somehow Aiba just assumed that, oh, it's not a message from the killer. Could be a prank, could be just like some kind of wear and tear, although that seems unlikely to be that specifically positioned. The panda ride. The panda ride looks lonely. How would that work even? It's just like a lone panda by itself. It's a bench. Yeah, no shit. Is that like a save mechanic? I can go there to save it? Not that saves matter as much when you do something in permadeath anyway. Control room. There's so many Japanese games like this, where it's like some kind of low, like I played something like that Hotel Izanami or whatever. Like there's all these kind of point and click ones, I guess because they're easy to make. Whereas basically what I'm saying is there's not as many detective games in the West like that, at least that I'm aware of. Like Kathy Rain was a standout one. Indie whatever it was, I don't even know what that company's done besides that, but it was so good. Cityscape, or like Obra Dinn, technically counts as a detective game, even though it's kind of a unusual premise for it. City skyscrapers crowd one another. I'm actually kind of improvising what I read a little bit because oh, there's the yellow tape. So that backs up his dialogue, but sometimes you still use it. Cityscape sky. A lot of flavors. Who is this chick? Your boss. It's a bench. So we're actually immobile. Imagine how silly this would look in real life. Maybe because we're an AI. We haven't even gotten confirmation that we are, but like we can just absorb information without actually having to go up to it or anything. So we don't contaminate the crime scene at least, which was a big plus in like, or no, it's more so in Heavy Rain that he says that. Like, aren't you afraid that having this many officers on the scene will contaminate the evidence? So that's what would justify having an AI that can just do everything itself. The defense set up probably to prevent noisy kids from getting caught in the machinery. So it couldn't have been an accident unless they really were dicking around. Is this the control room, the place where the operator sits to turn the ride on and off? I took a look inside, but I didn't notice anything that would be a clue. Took a look at the roof so we could look at the horses, policeman. It's like I want to look at every bit of flavor before I proceed. But then if I talk to her, like, she'll give me advice or something that I don't want. It's offense. Choices and look. When you speak to a person, you will be presented with choices and look. Use the choices to select the topic of conversation. Look will allow you to observe the person you're speaking to, in case they're a suspect themselves. Anything to go on.
Not yet, sir.
So I get called sir, but then I have somebody above me as well.
Wow, I never thought a great detective like you would ask me my name.
We're considered great, but we're still answering to
It's
somebody.
Kagami, sir.
Kagami.
It's Kagami.
Is he saying it like more annoyed? Like I forgot it already?
It's my duty, sir. Thank you.
We have somewhat of a reputation. It's interesting that as you keep asking his name over and over again, I guess if you forget it. That makes him seem kind of important, though. How's the investigation going?
Not too good, unfortunately. We're not finding much.
How convenient that you need my help, then. Otherwise, we wouldn't be needed as some kind of famous, possibly AI detective. Music's good. Just kind of admiring her first. Any suspects? The rain is awful, huh? Who found the body? So what am I doing here? You probably shouldn't even say that.
Not yet. We just found the victim. Too early to say anything for sure.
Oh, I like
But
her.
this could be a copycat killer at work. From the case 6 years ago.
Case 6 years ago?
For whatever reason, she didn't elaborate. A case 6 years ago.
It's unusual for this time of year. It'll be hard to find any usable prints.
I like her voice actor.
Are you serious? You're Special Agent Kaname Date. You're a member of Abyss, and that means you answer to me. I called you here to inspect the scene, Date.
Sure, boss. But inspecting dead bodies isn't usually part of the job.
Usually, no. But tonight it is. Because you know this woman, don't you, Date? I had to tell you. You deserve to know.
Personal involvement in the case, that should be a disqualifying factor. If anything, you should be the last person that you'd call.
Metro got a call about 2 hours ago. Someone heard screaming coming from the park. Beat cop responded, checked out the scene.
And found the corpse.
Yeah. Thing is, the caller was anonymous. I'll give you the details later.
Could be the killer itself, that's always a possibility. Wanting to brag about their own crime in a way. When talking to people, choose topics that interest you. You might obtain... I think I skipped one there. Selecting log will allow you to recap. Yeah, that's a feature that every game should have. It's so stupid when they don't.
Too early to say anything for sure.
Oh, that's even appreciated too. They even let you replay the voice. What can you tell me about the victim?
Her name's Nadami Shoko. You knew her, right?
Well, then you shouldn't be having me do the case. If I did.
What was the relationship like? I heard you two have been close for years.
Oh shit, she's
I
jealous.
wouldn't say that. We were just acquaintances.
He doesn't seem to be showing any sort of reaction to it, though, like he doesn't care. I call her boss. She runs... So you just call her that? That means she's not actually your boss? A special branch of the Metropolitan Police Department. I report directly to her. That's not just a roleplay name that you use for her. She's actually just your boss. So why is he saying it like, oh yeah, I just call her that? It's the main column, like she just calls me slave, but I'm really just her assistant or underling. It's the main column holding up the roof. Okay, fine. It doesn't make it clear whether you've already looked at it or not, right? Like sometimes it would gray it out for you in some games. If we're looking at just a horse, not necessarily the horse in question, as far as where the victim is. You got a pole and a horse. I'm going to look at them on this side so I don't accidentally look at the body yet. I'm having trouble, though, targeting it. What the fuck? I was not expecting this. I always misjudge games based on the sort of cover or the name. Like the Darkwood is a famous example where I'm like, I don't know if my computer's going to be able to run this or not. The graphics look so good, and it's a fucking top-down 2D isometric game, right? But the art on it made it look like it'd be like The Forest, but better graphics or something. And then the, what was the other one that I thought that about? or thought something different about based on the art. Oh, I thought like a Plague Tale would be like just a heavy story game, which it technically is story focused, but it's not like what I thought. I thought it'd be like very choice based and stuff. It's a metal pole. Yeah, this has more dialogue options than that, by the way. It's a horse from the merry-go-round. It's very disappointing how Phoenix Wright, like one of my favorite series and, you know, one that got me into this kind of genre in the first place, has so few dialogue and choice options over the years, right? Like Aviary Attorney put it to shame in that regard. That has more dialogue and meaningful options than the entire Ace Attorney series combined, because they just never bothered to do it. So a small unknown indie game studio at the time, whatever, made a better jump in innovation than the series that has the AAA backing and big name brand behind it. That just shows you laziness and complacence. The body is mounted on one of the horses. I should get a better look. I took a step forward.
Sorry, sir. Could you please not get any closer? We haven't taken any footprints yet. I appreciate your understanding.
The way he says it so awkwardly. Like he's afraid to tell us to do something, but he still has to.
Allow me to assist you.
AI sight. So the AI is actually this thing, not us, I guess. For some reason, the way we look makes us seem like one too. So we're an android using artificial intelligence too as a separate entity. That's Aiba. Her official designation is AI Ball, or Aiba for short. She's an artificial intelligence built into my fake eye. Oh, I thought it was like a separate thing that we were like holding. Built into my fake eye. An AI for an eye. Ha ha ha. But also, what does that mean? Does that mean our other eye is fake too? Because or real? Like we're not using. If we're an AI,
You want me to use the zoom, right?
are we a person or not? Because we don't feel like a person.
Correct. That will allow you to investigate without physically disturbing the scene.
Aiba's vision modes. While playing through the story, Aiba's special vision modes may help you obtain new information. Okay. You can also view the controls. Okay, get it. That I always hate stuff like that, but I guess it is tutorializing it anyway. Like where it says, as a, you know, like how do you introduce mechanics in a game? I think Half-Life tried to do that. Half-Life 2, like where it doesn't tell you what to do, it kind of, I don't know. Like a game that tutorializes it without tutorializing it. It just somehow explains it in universe without giving you the button prompts. Shoko Nadami's corpse. Apparently we have a very personal relationship. You can zoom with L. You have to push it down. Left eye. So she's going to have like a fake eye too, and it was taken out, and that was the motive for the killing. So you can't scroll on the body itself. It just gives you like a set position. Face.
Detecting signs of increased stress in your body.
In my body.
Cortisol and ACTH concentration is rising.
Just because I'm so emotional about it?
Don't bug me with jargon right now, alright? I'm just upset.
And why does that matter? Tell us about her body, not our body.
The left eye socket is vacant. Victim has had her left eyeball removed.
It must not be just a regular eyeball.
Left eye.
The most likely scenario is that the killer or killers removed it.
Yeah, no shit, but a regular Bakura, am I right? But no, it must be one of these fake eyes like you.
Well, we don't know that for sure. A crow or some other animal could have pulled it off the corpse.
And that's...
Impossible. The amount of blood indicates that the victim's eye was removed before her death.
It still could have been a crow that got to her when she wasn't paying attention. I don't know.
Carved it out while she was still alive.
Correct.
So is she like an android too?
Pupil dilation and corneal turbidity indicate the victim is dead.
Yeah, genius. This is really not got a gift for stating the obvious. Body, arm.
Multiple puncture wounds to the front of the torso.
Okay.
Cause of death, blood loss from these wounds.
Multiple. It doesn't
Body
tell.
temperature and rigor mortis indicate the time of death was approximately 6 hours ago.
6 hours ago and multiple wounds.
That would place the crime occurring around 5 p.m.
So the eye wound had nothing to do with the death, apparently, because it would have been the punctures. That would put around 5 p.m., so it's 11 now. Several puncture wounds, but no cuts or tears. That
Victim
means...
was probably stabbed with something pointed and smooth, like an ice pick.
And maybe they were tied down or something, somehow incapacitated. Because if they were moving, they would create cuts and lacerations and stuff. Oh shit, I missed some flavor.
What was that?
Analyzing the source of the sound. Sonic analysis indicates the sound originated from inside the merry-go-round's central column.
So, you know, you would always think of AI and stuff like this as speaking in more short form. Like, you don't need to beat around the bush and say all that. Just say central column. Like, just get to the point. You know what I mean? Like, that would be the inhuman way of doing it, but in a good way, like more efficient. You don't need to say sonic analysis, sound originate. Just say central column.
Inside
Like,
the column?
we get the point. Right, that's how it would be, I think, in reality if you were to design something like this. You don't need all the pleasantries and platitudes of human speech. That's the whole benefit of it. Yeah, I think I missed some flavor on her, though. Like her arm or something. So this isn't normally what this guy does, apparently. Like, he's actually looking at the body itself. But maybe that'll be his new career path, or maybe it'll be, like, just, one-time thing, and then we'll go back to doing something else, like just interrogations and stuff. So it's a central column. Voice came from inside.
Use me to see through the column. Utilize the X-ray mode.
Now there is possibly another use for that we could theoretically do. How do you apply this ability here? Let's just test the X-ray. Okay, here to make sure it works. Right now, she's standing in the pouring rain with her umbrella up.
Yeah, I definitely did. I couldn't tell where it came from, though.
Ah, that's why we need the Aiba. I like how just laid back she seems. She's just kind of chilling there. I guess nobody's really moving, so it's just a still scene. I want to see, how do you do this X-ray, though? Give me the option on everything. I'm just curious, you know? Fuck. How cool would it be if it actually let you do that? Different kind of game. There's a little girl in there. Are we going to have personal relationships with all these people? So it's weird that it's letting you look at the policeman even through this. That sound just now. Are they all going to have different things to say about it? A local cop. So that one we can't talk to. A local... Oh, no. It says that about all of them. Not...
A sound? I didn't hear anything.
These guys are... This shows you, like, the pecking order. These guys didn't even hear it. That's how unattentive and crappy they are. She at least heard it, but she can't identify where it comes from. And then we have the ability with this Aiba to kind of show the pecking order that he's able to do everything. Not only identify where it comes from, but allow us to see through and stuff.
You heard it too, sir? I wonder what it was.
Oh, this guy gets a little plus point in your character ranking system already. I wish Danganronpa had gone on longer just for that alone, because we had a whole thing going, like, how many points each character deserves when they do something impressive and whatnot. Do you see the little girl? Let's see if we can't find something else first. It's a little bit scuffed that you... It shouldn't really show these prompts when you're inside of this, right? Then it's confusing as to... You know, there's nothing else that you really want to look at. She might have witnessed something. She might be the killer.
It appears as though someone is inside.
Threw down my umbrella to the pillar. So it might be like his daughter or her daughter, or...
Shut up!
He's very emotional. Not very AI-like of you.
I know you're in there. If you can hear me, say something.
Or maybe he's just like caring generally about anybody. I grabbed it hard and tried to open it. It's interesting what they choose to voice and what they don't, because even some of the flavor was voiced.
It may be locked from the inside.
Damn it!
Do you have some special lockpicking skills, or what? Or your limits?
Hey, whoever's in there, stay back!
It's an interesting way of doing it. Did you really have to do that? Oh, she looked a lot younger when we looked through. It looked like a little girl, but now it looks like a woman. Or a slightly older girl, at least. Because of course all the protagonists in these are like high school age anyway. This is gonna be like our Sayaka, somebody we rescue early on, Maya equivalent, where they're accused and we defend them, and then they become our assistant the whole time. It'd almost be cool playing it from the other perspective though, like how we have our boss in the scene where we get to be the assistant the whole time. You rarely see that kind of story play out. It always just feels like a shame when you can't move around freely.
What is this place?
It's a time where point and click, like, that's one of those antiquated things, right? Like when it was point and click before, it was just because of design limitations. So think about how much easier it is to just show a still screen and then just give you prompts and text to mess around on it, versus like, okay, you know, being able to move around and animating the character and his movements and this and that. Obviously it's just done for design limitations, and it was a thing of the past. So anybody who defends it on like a nostalgic level, like, oh, it's actually a good legitimate form of design, it's hard to really argue that, because you could have the same exact thing just with actual movement. And that kind of also applies to 2D stuff, right? Like where you, or even like turn-based combat, which is a funny thing to think about because how much I like turn-based stuff. But it's like the only reason why turn-based combat maybe was a thing was because it's so much easier to design that. I'm talking about like old school technology, like early systems and stuff. It's so much easier to design that, where each character just moves on one at a time and this and that, than to have a real-time, you know, movement and action system. That's so much harder to do. So you could say both of those design philosophies are there just because of design limitations, not because of any philosophical or quality-based decision.
This is your dream.
I'm me.
Who's saying that, though?
Correct. You are Date.
And you are?
I hate these pronunciations that don't sound like what the spelling is. Like, what was the other name like that we just encountered? It was in A Plague Tale, where it's like... Whose name was it? Leon with Lion, but they say it like Leon. And then there was another one that really pissed me off. It was like... I can't remember. What is this?
Where do I even start with this?
I can answer all of your queries.
All right then. Who are you?
I'm me, of course.
I know that voice. Aiba?
Indeed.
Why do you look like a fluorescent shrimp?
What are you talking about? I must look so cute that you've lost your mind. Under normal circumstances, I would lecture you about your awful taste, but
What are you doing in my dream?
you called me. My consciousness and your own are linked. This is why I appear in your dreams. Consider me an alter ego, but I shouldn't waste time explaining further. You will have forgotten this by the time you wake up. I will discuss this with you soon, when you're awake.
Trying to sort out my situation. My brain isn't cooperating. Must be because I'm sleeping right now. So things that I should know, I can't remember. My head feels fuzzy. I'm not my usual self. It's like I'm inside someone else's head. What a strange feeling.
Putting that aside, do you recognize this room?
No, not at all.
I suppose that's fine. Let us begin.
Begin what?
Somnium scan. Activate.
He's never done this before, whatever this is. Nor does he normally look at bodies firsthand, so all this is
Got it.
kind of new to him.
Got what?
I have completed a scan of your Somnium, your dream world. My simulations have encountered several mental locks.
Mental locks?
Have you already forgotten? Even your critical thinking abilities have dulled.
Huh?
He's acting like he's never heard of this before, so
In
how...
short, Somnium is a world built from the deepest recesses of your consciousness.
I wonder if this is a mechanic in the other games, if there even are other games in this series, because it seems like just the way it starts is like they expect you to already know who everybody is and what everything is.
This world is divided into several layers. Each layer stands upon a foundation, a base component. Think of these foundations as mental blocks, or simply locks for convenience. Mental locks must be broken before we can proceed deeper into consciousness. The truth is always hidden within the deepest layers.
But that assumes that you're personally involved with every case and that you would know, write something to it already. This wouldn't make any sense if you knew nothing about the case, then what would your own dream and your own consciousness have to do with that?
We must...
Remove the mental locks?
Correct.
So I just need to
Cyclops.
turn on all the lights and open the door? Shouldn't be too hard.
Don't be so sure. Appearances in this world can be deceiving. Let's start with the door. Please direct me to the door and give me instructions.
I see. So I can do whatever I want with you in this world.
Look at his smirk as he says that.
Well, I suppose that is true, but...
Alright, let's do this.
You already started off dancing like crazy, I don't know why. Sinking in the brain, B-R-A-I, and I don't know why it's spelled like that. Oh, A-I, ha ha ha. Wake date up. I'm gonna say it like date, even though that's not how they say it. Dream world, in this strange and surreal dream, trust the light to wake up. Trust the light. Can we actually move around? Unlocking locks will allow you to travel deeper in the dream. Unlocking all of them will reveal important information. Turn on the light. First move Aiba. Oh, thank God, we actually get to move. So we can't move around in the real world, but we can move around in this. I don't know why it just feels so... Because even though you're only interacting with predetermined stuff, it just feels like, you know, an immersive thing to be able to do. She certainly looks very... Oh, does it fade out to protect you from being able to look at her like that? Anti-perv protection, even though they choose to make them look like this, but then they try to make you feel bad about it. So we know that chick who was... We know both the victim and the chick who was in the... We know the victim and the chick who was in the little room who's going to be accused of the killing, the centric column. Mental lock 1. Skeleton sitting there, which she was doing some kind of breakdance behind it for some reason. I just love how matter-of-factly they make all this feel. Like, oh yeah, this is just... This is how it started. You don't need to know anything. You don't...
A door locked with a padlock.
We know how much we struggle with those. I love that. It took us like an hour to find the padlock, but only like a minute to find the code for it. At the end of the last episode of Kathy Rain. Like, what the fuck, dude? Struggling with simple tasks and breezing through ones that are actually supposed to be difficult. Investigating, you can choose from a number of options to give Aiba instruction. Investigate the door. Okay, how do you do that? You have to use the
Here's all I have to do is open this door.
pad. Just open it. That's an interesting
Can't touch it.
motion that she did there.
That is to be expected. Dreams are not bound by logic.
That means that's just an easy way to say everything can be contrived, right? That's like just a design philosophy.
This is Date's Somnium, a reality built by dreams.
Whatever they want to be, how it works is how it'll work, and even if it doesn't make sense to the player.
I see. Your mental faculties must be hazy because your body is currently sleeping. I suppose I will have to explain.
I'd rather you not disturb my precious sleep.
Shut up and listen. Date, look at that. The places where the light touches have become colored.
Music is good.
Perhaps those parts are now tangible. Every human mind is unique. Every human dream has its own set of rules.
Oh, so we must not be an AI ourselves then.
I see.
If you understand these rules, the dream world itself becomes malleable.
Just the AI itself, so our eye is the only...
Who was that?
I don't know.
You must know. This is your dream. It is created from your memories.
But it must not be somewhere that he's lived or is familiar with, because he's never seen it before.
I don't know what to tell you. I have no idea who that was.
You may remember upon reflection.
I need to give you commands that will unlock the mental locks, right?
Indeed. But it is difficult to predict exactly how an object will behave in Somnium. Think outside the box. Trying different actions will help solve the problem.
And what does it have to do with the case itself that we were just
Now, what should I have you do?
trying to solve?
Don't forget that I have a veto.
floating name, move over and investigate. I'm just happy you can always move around. So why they wouldn't let you do this in the outer world is beyond me. Like, it would still be in a restricted scene. Maybe they will, but just for that first one, they don't. I guess I've kind of grown weary of point and click stuff. Or at least give me point and click stuff where I can point and click the character too, right? And move them around. Switch. Like, that's what everyone jokes about with Miles Edgeworth. Like, his two powers are, instead of using the Magatama and breaking Cyclops, and instead of using forensic science like Emma, or using spirit channeling like Maya, and all the, you know, every character has like their own special ability. He just uses logic, and he has the ability to walk, which neither of which Phoenix can do apparently.
A winter iris.
What?
Do you not recognize it? This is an iris that blooms in winter.
Never would have guessed based on your description of it.
Flower with a woman's name.
He's never heard of that kind of flower. Smell it or grab it. Of course, that's not me doing it.
Hey, I didn't know you could smell.
I can't. I'm pantomiming. Isn't it easier to visualize this way?
Sure. Whatever.
So what did you learn from that?
Not enough.
Pardon?
Harder. You gotta smell it harder.
What? Okay.
They're obviously doing this innuendo on purpose. What was that?
Amazing suction.
What are you experiencing so regularly to cause this to happen in your dreams?
You were able to touch it.
Correct.
So, I just need to keep this up?
Something like that.
Turn on the light. Mental lock 1. Why can't one of these games just be normal, where you just investigate stuff? There is no supernatural shit. Just
A switch. The thorns are gone.
is that because I breathed in the flower, or because they were here just before that?
Now I can activate the switch.
Her arm is kind of freaky. You see, like, the exoskeleton. Was that the same girl from inside the... I don't think it was. Or at least she dyed her hair a different color.
Isn't this rewarding, Date? Another place you can touch.
Would rather be sleeping.
Well, you are sleeping, technically. 1 unlocked. Turn on the light. Okay. I just don't see what this is going to have to do with actually solving the crime or the case itself that we're on. Or maybe that's not what it's actually going to be about. Standing lamp, basket. There's a number of things we can interact with now. Wine. Of course, you'd have to pantomime drinking that too, right? Or at least tasting it.
A glass of wine.
Smell, have a sip, investigate.
Leave it to me.
Hey!
I feel kind of good.
Didn't it not affect you, though?
Why isn't AI getting drunk?
Why do I have to listen to Date diss me all the time?
Is she just role-playing, or?
Oh, she's annoying when she's drunk. Someone else can come take her.
I don't really get that, yeah. She could just be really good at pretending.
A skeleton. It appears to be bleeding from the left eye.
Relevant to the case, at least. It could be symbolism of what's about to happen to you, though. He's gonna rip out the eye because of how annoying you're being. Talk to it.
To the skeleton?
You just want someone to talk to, huh?
You could roleplay something else, the old Yorick thing.
Hello, my name is Aiba. What is your name? How are you? I am currently 92% charged and feeling well. Hey, don't ignore me. Stupid bony man. Your mother is a stupid bony girl. Bony, bony, bony.
Are you finished?
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Standing lamp and basket. I guess you could talk to it even again. I wonder what if it would be different. I don't want to hear that again. So it's like faded out in blue, which means I guess you've already done it. That could be...
A floor lamp shaped like a rose.
It's weird that it doesn't do that then when you're actually investigating out in the field, like in the first scene. You can't really tell what you have and haven't looked at. So does it let you do like multiple interactions on the same thing? Because I had different options for the other ones, but like smell or like I drank it and that was it. I'm not able to do anything else.
A lamp. It looks like a rose.
Turn off, lift up. The text kind of overlaps with itself. Kick it. I'm trying to do like the most expressive thing because it's an AI, so I kind of want to contrast. So like drinking the wine would be, or like smelling the plant, like something that has to do with sensory feelings to see like what kind of bland reaction she might have. But then she kind of went over the top with some of them. Lift it up, turn it off, kick it.
You don't have to kick it so hard.
Give it everything you've got. That's my motto.
It didn't even budge.
I saw the skeleton's skull move slightly.
How? Do you have eyes in the back of your head?
Hey, Date, are we gonna get him too? Huh?
What are you, a thug?
We did that. So what did that accomplish though? Maybe he'll say something different now?
Know this, skeleton. I harbor no grudges against you.
Even though you're so pissed at him ignoring you. See through that.
What?
Aiba, look. The wall.
This basically do random things and random shit will happen. Can we get back to the real world and actually try to solve the case and help the friend? Damn, that was pretty loud. They didn't bother to animate a different room, so we're in the same place.
Do you have an irrepressible urge for destruction you've been holding back all this time?
You're the one who seems so enthusiastic about it.
Even if I did, adults have to learn moderation, you know. Who is he?
Are you sure you don't know?
I don't know. He looks like some old man.
You could describe him a little more generously.
You don't look that old. Bosses sleep talking. A hidden item, insomnia, there's always one somewhere. If no more, I can't eat anymore, I'm stuffed. What the hell does that mean? What are you talking about, eating? Oh, maybe it's something sensory with her, like I can't drink any more wine or something? It's a gun. I just don't see what any of this has to do with anything.
What?
It didn't actually show a prompt for that, but I tried to click it anyway. Isn't that yourself? Date B. That's like the eyeball thing they were showing at the beginning.
A gun came out of the skull?
Pick it up, investigate. I mean, you could do
It won't go off?
both at once.
It should be fine.
Look at this hot magnum. I could ventilate some crooks with this thing.
This is his preferred method of opening doors, as we saw in the console thing. Like, and she was so close to it too. The girl inside.
Don't get excited.
Remind you of anyone?
No.
I was making fun of him.
A door locked with a padlock.
I didn't actually put A there. Put gun in keyhole or shoot. What would that mean?
Do you think something this size would fit?
Might fit if you work it in a little. Try just the tip.
I suppose.
What would be the point though? You're gonna end up shooting it anyway. That makes
The gun was the key.
no sense.
Well, well, well. It seems I was key in helping us escape.
Okay, that's it. This dream is over.
I suppose this dream is over then. Guess I'll wake up now.
Good.
Just make her get fed up with it. Reverse
I'll
psychology.
open it.
Wonder if there's actually going to be a failure state even. That's always the best way to get through these. I can call them permadeath, but because I don't know anything about them, whether it's going to be... Now that looks different than either of the women we've seen before. The one inside the column or on the horse. Turn on the light. Mental lock 2. I guess the dream isn't over then after all. Or maybe it is. Awaken. So now we'll have to continue with that later, or maybe it'll just be a different scene. It's weird that it actually shows all the prompts and stuff. It doesn't do that on, like on Steam or something. It just shows everything that's on the console. So it would even show like your own personal stuff if you had to type in your password or whatever. Another knock against console streaming, so you have to be careful of stuff like that. Police headquarters, Saturday 9/21. Yeah, we get it. They're trying to make her very,
Good morning, Date. I was waiting for you.
Look at how her bust is. We can do a crime bust, but that's not what I had in mind. Look at that, dude. Like, who would dress like that in this kind of profession? Shelves. Maybe that's part of her carefully planned interrogation technique, of course. Make people more receptive and whatever. Bags. Tombstone. Wine bottles lined up. Tombstone. Rip. Okay. Very clever dialogue. Haha. Rip in peace. Bags hanging on a rack. Inside the bags are masks, like for costume parties. What, have we never been in this office before? Like we wouldn't know all this? Obviously, I'm doing it just for shelves. Like, what is that dialogue? You don't even need to give me a prompt for it if all you're going to do is say what it says already.
Overall length of 15.35 inches, width of 8.8, height of 5.35, and a body weight of just a hair over 830 grams.
We didn't ask you, but
This RC car has friction dampers on the front and rear axles as well.
a fan of them, I guess. I don't see what it has to...
How do you know all this stuff?
I used to be a flag girl for RC car racing in my glory days.
To being a boss of somebody in a police who's a famous detective is not the glory day compared to being involved with RC cars.
Have you met my partner? This is my childhood friend, Mario.
What, did we just start working for you or what? Why is all this stuff new information to us?
He's a good listener. I tell him all my stories when I get lonely.
You could tell me all the boss's mental health. Yeah, that's the moment. Not any of the other shit, being so obsessed with a car. But you wouldn't have to be so lonely. You could tell me the stories instead, right? A soccer ball.
Looking at that reminds me of my old boyfriend from high school.
Boss's old love interest must have been an athlete. Interesting. It's a volleyball. Jesus, some of this dialogue. A flag with big catch on it. I don't know what that means. Soba restaurant. Oh, don't remind me of Soba. I have Soba PTSD, the fucking case from, I didn't even know what it was going into that, but now I never want to think about it again. The case where the dog eats it and fucking buries the rest of it, and Athena. Jesus Christ. Not a very commonly used term of food. That's like the only time I've ever heard it in any Japanese anything. Happy birthday banner decoration. That birthday party was a while ago, though. Pumpkin carved like a jack-o'-lantern.
You ever wonder why we call all our pumpkins Jack? What if that pumpkin's name was Bill? Sorry, it was funnier in my head.
Just use it as an opportunity to pretend like it's funny, just to get close with her. A bookshelf. It's full of files and binders, but I don't know of what. It's got books, manga, movies, games. Is this an office or what? What did she do in here? She has a computer on her desk. Type that has a monitor built in. Boss's desk. There are stickers all over. You got desk, computer, darts machine, chair, a chair. Nice. You never know which ones are just going to be generic. Electronic darts game.
So if we're trapped down here when World War III starts, we'll have something to do.
I don't think there's anything unusual about that, but some of this stuff is just weird. You decorate it like it's your bedroom, not like it's a police office.
That's my grandpa's death mask.
The guy had a huge face.
Serious mask is displayed on the wall. She doesn't have anything to say about that one. Public bath door curtain. A map on the wall. Poster, police poster, a boy band poster.
Yep. They're all my husbands.
Uh-huh.
Boss is single, by the way. Yeah, they're making it very obvious that we could maybe have a relationship system. It's amazing how much length they went to in Danganronpa to include that. Like, it's a game where you're about people being abducted and trapped in a closed, confined space, right? Constantly with their life on the line and this and that. But they have the free sort of mind to flirt with one another and form relationships and this and that. It's like, maybe that's part of Monokuma's design, that he wants them to do that. And probably, you could say situations like that maybe are conducive to that, but it's just kind of odd.
Are you
Skis.
familiar with the murder case at the resort called Spur?
Even if I wasn't, I guess you're not going to tell me about it. Snowboard, or maybe that was some kind of joke that just went right over my head. She is kind of punny. A triangular ruler.
I
Symbol.
use that thing for stress relief sometimes.
I know. I can hear it all the way down the hall.
Boy band poster. Stationary bike for indoor training. She's definitely the athletic type. Aoi vibes. It's a lifesaver. Aoi was my preferred choice after Junko somehow won me over with just how smart she was at the beginning. A plaster figure. Like the two people that it seems to be pushing, well, mainly Sayaka is the one who betrays you, obviously, by trying to frame you for murder. But it's like, so the one they push on you the most is the one that's obviously gonna, it would just be too obvious and too easy, right? Because then everybody would just choose her, or it would feel kind of like a forced relationship.
That's been here a while.
I mean, Christmas comes every year, right? It's a pain taking that thing down and putting it up again.
Yeah, some people really do that. Pennant, a souvenir for some rural town. But she also does the same thing for the birthday thing, so she's always in a festive mood. I haven't seen one of these in a while. Sobador, yeah, don't show me that shit. Police poster. Coat hanger. Christmas tree. There's a lot of stuff hanging on the coat hanger. Really, it doesn't look like there's anything hanging there. Oh, just like these ones, like umbrellas. So we can't turn any further from here. Some of the stuff we're acting like we've never seen before, and some of it we are familiar with, like the symbol. It's a symbol of our annoyance. About the case 6 years ago. What's the status of the investigation? About Mizuki. I see you still haven't cleaned this place up. You don't need to be a dick about it. Like I wouldn't mind. She's sitting on the desk casually.
Hey, remember the case you brought up yesterday? The one that happened 6 years ago?
Date, forget about it.
Why'd you mention it then?
What?
It's been a long time since I've been at a crime scene, and I got a little carried away. And... Look, it was a slip of the tongue, okay? Shouldn't have said anything.
But it could be relevant. Maybe it's a good thing that you said it.
That just makes me want to know even more.
That case has nothing to do with this one.
But it might. Last night you said this could be a copycat crime.
Yes, that's my point. It might be a copycat killer, but it can't be the same killer.
It doesn't matter. At least tell us about it so we can figure out what they were trying to copy.
That's impossible. Literally impossible.
Yeah, they wouldn't just put it in there for no
It's
reason.
not necessary for you to know about past cases. It would only cloud your judgment.
I don't accept that.
Just give it up, Date.
Well, I'm sure we could find out based on the way this crime was committed. I'm assuming it's something that took place at a similar, like a carousel with a horse or something of the sort. That we could just look up all cases from 6 years ago that have to do with that, and we'd be able to narrow it down. So you've already kind of told us. So it was just a slip of the tongue.
Who do you think I am, Date?
You're my boss? The commander of Abyss Metropolitan Police Department?
I mean, my name.
Huh. I honestly don't know. I've been calling you boss for 6 years, so...
We've been working for her for 6 years, but we don't know what case she's referring to, and we're not familiar with certain basic things about her.
Trust me, it's been more than 6 years.
Suffer from a memory disorder. I don't remember anything past 6 years ago. How convenient. I've been having flashbacks recently, fragments of my past. Oh, that must be why the Somnium stuff doesn't.
Wait, what does your name have to do with our investigation?
Because if you knew me well enough, you wouldn't have to ask.
Ah, so, nothing to report then. Got it.
About Mizuki, I see you still haven't cleaned the place up. You should be trying to go on a date with her, so it shouldn't be that far flung for you to know her name.
I wouldn't tell you even if my life depended on it. Even if you took me to the finest club in Kabukicho and showered me in Dompe, my lips are sealed.
Oh, that's kind of her subliminally suggesting what she'd want to do on a date.
Why, boss?
It's top secret, classified.
It was that bad, huh?
If that's how you want to interpret it. I don't know if I would call them leads.
What about the ice pick? The one we found in Mizuki's hand?
We were able to identify the manufacturer, but
Wouldn't they have her as the prime suspect, and then we would have to defend her because we seem to have some kind of emotional attachment to her? Isn't that normally how these stories go?
it's sold nationwide. It would be impossible to pin down the buyer.
Or maybe they are just treating her as a witness somehow.
Damn.
We did determine that the shape of the pick and the puncture wounds on the victim match perfectly. We also discovered that the blood on the pick is the victim's.
Meaning that ice pick was probably the murder weapon.
Almost definitely.
So why isn't she a suspect? Like, why are you acting so disappointed? It should be more like we're trying to pin it on her, and she changes her position quite a bit. About the ice pick, about Mizuki, about the case 6 years ago. Will she keep saying different things if I keep pressing her?
Give it a rest, Date. You keep prying into this, and I'll hit you with a sexual harassment complaint.
This isn't harassment or sexual.
I can make it sexual.
Then it would be the other way. I'd have to accuse you of it.
It appears you wouldn't have an issue with that. I can detect your thoughts, remember?
Thank you for your input, Aiba.
Just promise me you'll let this go, okay?
It's like you keep giving me more dialogue I want.
It's a delicate issue, even more delicate than my patience. So drop it. That's an order. Understood?
What, am I gonna get a failure state for pushing too hard? It lets me keep doing it. Definitely not gonna get anything else. She can be surprisingly stubborn sometimes. It's good to feel out, like, how much is it really gonna matter. I don't think she'll care that I press that hard.
The pick Mizuki was holding? The only prints on it are hers. The evidence is really stacking up against her.
Then why'd you say we didn't have any leads?
She couldn't have done it. That's impossible.
I'm personally involved with the victim and the suspect.
Well, then you better hurry up and clear her. She is important to you, right?
The best motivation in a legal setting.
Let's see. We have some more information about the victim, Shoko Nadami. It's up on the database.
Can I look at that freely?
Although it's probably nothing you don't already know.
Well, maybe not.
I guess in that sense it helps that you're personally involved, but it's not worth the trade-off of conflict of interest.
I haven't seen her for over a year.
Still, you know more about her than anyone else on the case, right?
And possibly the victim too, apparently?
It's part of the reason why I assigned you to this.
That's so stupid. Well, wait a second. You didn't even know she would be there. Like in the carousel or whatever.
Nadami Shoko, 36 years old. Female. Residence, Meguro District.
Oh no, this is the victim, right? So more like dead years old.
Met Date Kaname 5 years ago through her husband, Okira Renju.
Met me through her husband 5 years
Date
ago.
and Renju were so-called old drinking buddies. Renju and Shoko had one child together, a daughter named Mizuki, the prime suspect of this case.
Oh, how old is she that she would be? Because they all look
4
young.
years ago, they were divorced. Shoko returned to using her maiden name, Nadami.
36.
I should also give you this.
Oh, is she gonna turn out to be our assistant then? Because it's always got to be like a little girl. They always give you in these games.
It's a picture of Shoko. You'll need this when you're trying to get information, right? Since you don't have a cell phone.
Take Shoko's picture and put it in my pocket. We have this advanced AI, but we don't have a cell phone, and she's chiding us for that. Log. Is that going to just be controls? Menu. New file. The menu contains a number of functions such as file, flowchart, options, and guide. Game will autosave, but you can also manually save it with save. If you would like to end the game, you can return to the title screen in the top menu at the top right of the screen. Makes it look like an AI thing, like you're powering the AI off. View the controls, I don't really care about that. Save your progress. So these can either be like super relaxed playthroughs, or they can be really stressful, because if it's a, you know, you're constantly worried about dying. Like we died pretty early in A Plague Tale, unfortunately, just because I like went the wrong way and I ignored the grass or something. It can just happen so quick. That's what's so amazing about it, right? You always got to be immersed and fully engaged in every detail. Like even this could have unable to continue. Yeah, I don't need to worry about that. I just have a habit of doing that in a lot of things. I'll just keep saving it over and over just to make sure we saved. So all this I don't really care about. I haven't had an issue with the scrolling. Thank God it has a backlog. Flowchart, time chart. A story time chart. Jump to another part of the story using the flowchart. Let's see what this is like. You can check the story's progress and branching points with flowcharts. Well, the fact that there are branching points is a good sign. By selecting chapter investigation progress, you can jump to any part of the story. It could mean I could get a bad ending, though, or maybe die earlier than... I like that in Heavy Rain and Detroit, though, how... Well, I kind of don't like it in Detroit, though, how you keep coming back. Like, we got to Connor 5.0, because he died like 4 times, one of which to our own fucking partner, Hank, the drunk clown that he was. But, like, he starts off acting all unemotional, then we give him the cold shoulder back, because we're an android, we're not supposed to be emotional. Obviously, you could play him like you are, but... And then he gets all pissed, like when we killed the 2 girls outside. So, like, he's one of those fake tough guys. He is actually a softie, but he wants to act tough on the surface. But, what was I saying? I forgot even what that had to do with anything. Oh, just like the branching paths, like how you can keep coming back. Like in Heavy Rain, some of the characters can die, but then the story just keeps going because you control so many of them. Begin investigation, reopen, case file. I wonder what that would mean. A cold and rainy day, Friday night in November. Actually, I kind of don't want to do this yet. I just wanted to look at the screens. Seems like there's going to be a lot of stuff with this. We can look at that anytime. Case notes. Detailed file with key phrases and characters. File allows you to read information about people you've spoken to and terms you've heard. It is updated as the story advances. You got an album photo. You can earn album photos by finding hidden items or clearing a Somnium with more than 1 second remaining. I didn't think there was really a time limit there. Maybe just for the first one. You can view photos you've collected anytime, collect them all. We just have one of the victim. It's saying it like a flavor thing. You get to view a nice little gallery of all the murder victims you've solved their cases of. How lovely. Boss. Don't really mind that one. So there's only going to be 28 of them. This is like the profiles. I thought that was just dates. Ha ha ha. It's going to keep like the date of the entry or something. Kaname date, male, 30, August 30th, August 3rd. He doesn't really look that old though, as most of these characters really don't. Like, how old could our boss be? Should guess. She's like 40, even though she looks like 20. Profession: police officer of Advanced Brain Investigation Squad, Metropolitan Police Department. Likes classic cars. Like the... We could bond over that with the boss. The RC cars, a little bit different, but Curry, Bonito, pelvises. Like the body part of pelvis, or what does that mean? Rika. Soft-boiled eggs. Dislikes. Soft-boiled eggs, punk kids, and ghosts. Hobbies: collect vintage magazines. Skills: reaction time increases 3.6 times under certain conditions. I don't know what those conditions would be, though. As a sciencer, Date uses the science machine to dive into the minds of suspects of persons of interest. We haven't seen that happen yet. He lost his eye 6 years ago, but replaced it with a prosthetic eye which houses an advanced artificial intelligence known as Eyeball. He also lost all of his memories of past 6 years ago, so we don't really know what happened to him besides that. Collects vintage magazines. So we only get to see her in this form in our dreams, when in reality it's just like a floating little whatever that is. Doesn't really look like an eyeball in that context. Aiba, eyeball is like the nickname. Female according to settings. You can't just tell that on your own. Birthday November 9. It's like a bear, in fact, in the outside. How would that work if it's part of our eye? Like, where does the rest of it go? Like the rest of the shape of that. Profession, investigation assistant. Insects, spiders, and crustaceans she likes. 1101000010. I don't know what that. She likes to program. She likes coding. Dislikes dirty jokes. She dislikes going outside. She was making a lot of those innuendo jokes in the vision, though, it seemed like. Or maybe she was making them without being aware of them. Going outside the simulation. Which, isn't she right out of it right now? Hobby, sneaks out of Date's eye socket while he's sleeping and makes mischief. How exactly would that work? How could you sneak? Maybe that's just a joke, but she sneaks outside of the physical limitation of the eye. Or maybe she can grow that bear persona outside of herself on demand. So like it shrinks down into the eye and then it can turn into other stuff when it leaves his eye. Skills: hacking, fluoroscopy, voice imitation, 3D modeling. Overview: Aiba is an autonomous artificial intelligence. She usually takes the shape of an eyeball and resides in Date's left eye socket. She assists Date by gathering information, connecting to networks and databases using her X-ray and thermographic functions. Now we have 2 love interests potentially already. Maybe 3. She's only 12. Now she looks much older. What is with this aging weirdness in all of these Japanese games? He looks like he could be anywhere from 18 to 30. I guess he is 30, but age is 5. Of course, that's just probably the age of how long he's had the eyeball. She looks like she could be 16, 18. Mizuki, so I guess we have only 2 love interests then, from 3, depending on. If only she was 13, then it meets the Japanese criteria for actually changing that statement. July 6th, Mizuki Okiura. So this is her daughter. So if she's 12, she had her when she was 24. She really looked much older. 6th grader. Tonkatsu ramen. She likes stew, unagi, metal pipes, iris. I don't know what, like some of these are food, some of these are colors, some of these are just random things. Metal pipes could be like the name of a band, or it could just be physically metal pipes. She just likes them for some reason. Dislikes raw seafood. How Date holds chopsticks. But how does he even... Oh, I guess they do kind of know each other somewhat. Hobbies: breeding Cleone, collecting Addo Rabbit merch, some kind of fictional thing in the universe. Studies martial arts and enjoys emotionally attacking Date. Overview: Mizuki is Renju... She probably will still be our assistant, though. Is Renju Oki. So we'll have one partner who we can think about sexually and one partner who's just there for comic relief. Normally it could be one and the same. Like even the fact that Maya's 16 at the beginning of Phoenix Wright is like, you wouldn't really think about her like that. And I guess I never really did, but you could still say it like, oh, she's, Mia is more so like your boss there with the big bus coming out. Studies martial arts and enjoys emotionally attacking. She is the daughter. Although she is not related to Date, he became her de facto guardian 4 years ago. The two have lived under one roof ever since. Whoa. So what about the mother? They lived under the same roof. So does that mean we lived with the girl, the victim? Or somehow she just foisted her daughter on us and lived somewhere else? Shoko Nadami. Don't really like the glasses. Female, 36, January 4th birthday. Investment company representative director. To be envied and praised, she likes. She dislikes someone who hurt her in the past, which is possibly us, or I don't know. Winery tours. Scandinavian furniture collection is her hobby. Pilates. Winery tours. Skills are lying and cheating. So maybe this is our own extrapolation because this is our journal. Maybe that's why we hurt her in the past. Shoko is the ex-wife of Renju and Mizuki's mother. On a Friday night in November, she was found on the merry-go-round. Yeah, those were the good old days. On some Friday night, like literally just this Friday, round in the defunct amusement park known as Bloom Park. Her left eye socket was hollowed out. Boss is her only name that she's going to go by. Designation. Female 42. That's some 42-year-old. December 21st birthday. Profession, commander of Abyss, the special investigation team of the Metropolitan Police Department. Likes wine, gourd dolls, and anything black. Dislikes happy families, ex-boyfriends, MPD's director, decluttering and organizing. That could just be our own extrapolation. Maybe she doesn't dislike doing that, she just doesn't mind the way that it looks right now, or she doesn't consider it messy. She dislikes happy families. Maybe she's jealous because she showed several different sort of antisocial tendencies, or how she likes to talk to the mannequin, and she considers those 4 people on the poster her husbands, like the boy band. And she also is kind of seemingly coming on to us a few times. Likes going to clubs in Habukicho. Skills grasping people's weaknesses, applying pressure, making them obey. Wow, a dominant type. She seems to be kind of gentle about it, though. Boss is Dante's direct superior and longtime friend. She appears to be an easygoing optimist with a carefree attitude, but she is as cunning as a fox with a quick wit. So she knows how to coerce people into doing things without being a bitch about it. 28 profiles total. Appendix. Abyss, yeah, we get the Abyss pun there. Oh, maybe there were more pages to it. No, because it ends at the bottom. Advanced Brain Investigation Squad, a special classified division of the Metropolitan Police Department, tasked with conducting criminal investigations by understanding and penetrating the human mind. They are stationed 6 floors underneath MPD headquarters. Few know of their existence even among police. And yet we're apparently a celebrity with that one guy. I guess he might be part of Abyss too, but... Or no, maybe that's why we were out on the outside in a rare occurrence. Like, it's not normal for us to go and see bodies on the outside. Maybe we just talk to the suspects and try to interrogate them. Adrenocorticotropic hormone. Stress, we need somebody to say that in a voice for us. This is what the AI would be good for, but we can't use it on demand like that. Stress stimulates the you know what they could do in some of these games is, like, anytime a phrase is said, and if you read it later on, like if she's ever said that hormone phrase at any other point in the story, which I'm sure she might, it would let you click on it for like a visual aid or like an audio aid. So like she's not actually saying it. They didn't record the line just to have you read this text, but if they're playing a canned piece of dialogue that they say at another point just to help you out with it. Maybe the only problem with that is if she says it in like a really emotional way during a scene, like, oh my goodness, this hormone is gonna kill us, or this or that, or she's really sad about it, then it might not fit with just reading it as a random piece of flavor. But still, stress stimulates the adrenal cortex and secretes this hormone to heighten senses and increase defense functions. This is secreted on a daily basis by the author. X-ray mode. Get a little picture on the side. Yeah, she looked really young there, but then when we actually saw her up close, she looked older. A feature of Aiba similar to fluoroscopy. Earth is constantly inundated with cosmic rays from space. Cosmic rays contain X-rays, and Aiba is able to detect these rays that have passed through objects and see them. Because it works along the same logic as an X-ray machine, you unfortunately cannot use it to see panties. Okay, dude. Cornea. Wait, why can't you? It works along the same logic as an X-ray machine. Why would you want to see panties? You could just see... Oh, I get it. You still see clothing. You can't see through clothing. Corneal turbidity. Yeah, that would have been awkward since she's only 12 years old. Get me banned, even though she's a fictional character. Corneal turbidity. A state in which the cornea of the eye turns white and cloudy. A common indicator of death. A time of death can be estimated by the condition of the turbidity. Okay. Trunk. Another word for the torso of the human body. You need a whole page for this one. You need 2 pages for this. Why do they all have 2 pages even? I guess just in case it has a picture or something. Cortisol. A hormone secreted from the adrenal cortex triggered by stress. Increases heart rate, body temperature. We better enjoy the flavor text while we can, because we know how short some of these playthroughs can go. Like The Witcher. I love that, where I spent like 2 hours one episode just looking through my skills and looking through all the stuff at the fort before we actually started. And obviously we know how that went. I guess we didn't die right away, but we died pretty early on into the adventure if you were to just play it like in a more normal way. But of course I take my time to such an extreme extent, and I guess it didn't help save me. Secreted from the adrenal cortex triggered by stress. Increases heart rate, body temperature, blood pressure, and blood glucose. Activates the body's... Oh, I just read that. Another hormone my brain secretes constantly. So when he says by the author, he means himself. A puncture wound is a kind of stab wound. This is great how it has some like just very basic banal flavor text and dialogue. Like even when you look at, oh, it's a shelf, you click on it and he describes it by calling it shelf. Jurisdiction, an area over which the police... It's defining very basic terms that you shouldn't need to be defined either. Just like dictionary definition words. Like, you know what a jurisdiction is. It must be some mechanic in the game that especially has some meaning besides just an area over which police department has authority and responsibility. For example, if an incident occurred in Tokorozawa, I seem to know that from somewhere. Some of these must be real names of places and some of them might just be made up. That would be under the jurisdiction of the Tokorozawa Police Department. Or maybe I just heard it in this game and I wasn't paying attention. Pupil dilation. The pupil will dilate upon death. Dom P, a world famous champagne with a pink label on the bottle. Jobs. When used by Yakuza, it likely means illegal or unscrupulous activity. It also has a sexual connotation, but I wouldn't know anything about that. Puncturing instrument. It only means that though when it's in the little air quotes, I suppose. Puncturing instrument. Ice picks and trowels fall under this category, among a number of other things. I like how brief some of these are. Maybe he'll keep adding to them over the course of the playthrough. With every weapon that we find. It should give you a picture guide on that one. Tips, investigation. Purpose. During investigation, use Date to inspect senses and question people. Inspect scenes and question people. The story progresses by investigating objects and speaking to people. During investigation segments, you can move your view around and move your view and cursor freely, but you can't move yourself. Look around the area. You can only do that as Aiba, which is weird. I would have almost made it the opposite. Would have been better. I'd rather move around as this guy. Look around the area and interact with anything that... It's weird that they would have the functionality and mechanics to be able to move around and have a character do that. It's one thing if they're just like low budget, like, oh, we always have to keep it point and click and keep everything as like a still scene for the most part. But imagine having the ability to move, but then denying it to you at the same time. Look around, interact with anything that catches your eye. Yeah, catches your eye, literally, like the victim's eye was caught by the killer, am I right? Choices and look. When speaking to a person, look will be displayed along with the conversation choices. Pick the choice you want Date to say. Choosing look will allow you to inspect the person. Conversations. When you finish talking about a certain subject, new choices may be available. You may be able to obtain important information by selecting the right choices and kind of pressing them, like how we pressed her about the old case. She might do like another Freudian slip. You can also use this log to view the conversation so far. So she clearly wants closure on it and wanted to talk about it, but then she just wanted to let it go afterwards upon further examination. So despite her being a badass and being able to get anybody to obey her, apparently, according to Date, she also has her own emotional weaknesses and stuff, especially with like how she talks to the mannequin and how she's so... It's like the lack of self-awareness to say that like, you know, that makes you seem kind of weird. At least, it's one thing to do it in the first place. Aiba's special modes. During the story, you can obtain information using Aiba's special vision modes. The mode changes depending on the situation. Map and movement. When you're able to move locations, map appears in the bottom right of the screen. Open the map from the map and to pick and change your location. Tips. How long is this going to go on for? Like, how many of these are there? I guess we're almost done. Puncturing instrument. Tips. Investigation. Tips. Somnium 1. Purpose. Insomnia, use Aiba to investigate the subject's dream world. Oh, you can do that to other people too. I get it. So it's introducing the mechanic in our own mind. I was wondering how that would work if it was just always us. They copied Inception. The goal is to discover the subject's memories or information they may be hiding. By unlocking mental locks, you can travel deeper into the subject's subconscious. If you unlock all of them, you may be able to discover crucial information. There is a mental lock guide in the top left of the screen. So I hope that solving that will have more to do with like logical deduction than just doing random stuff, like drinking wine and kicking a skeleton and breaking a lamp or something. None of that had to do with anything. It was just random shit that you could interact with. Choices. When investigating an object, you may be able to give Aiba orders from the given choices. Yeah, we saw that. While in Somnium, you can inspect objects that have floating nameplates. The number of investigatable objects increases or decreases depending on the progress of the Somnium, and some of them kind of go away, or you can only interact with them once. So I wonder if you could fail, or if you could always fuck something up, like how we drank the wine and then we couldn't like investigate it or do other stuff to it. It just kind of made her show some rare emotion. Map. Open a map of the current Somnium with the map button. On the map, you can check your current location and objects you can inspect. If you are lost, open the map and find an object that looks interesting or important to inspect. Somnium 2 tips, mental locks. You can check your progress from the progress bar on the left side of the screen. When you reach the bottom, you have cleared the Somnium. So we had like 2 things we had to do in that one. We had to switch on the light, and then we had to open the door. So we switched on the light by playing with the little flower vase, and we opened the door by putting the gun in it like as a key instead of shooting it. So maybe that was the only way to do it, or maybe both would have worked. Based on the intro scene, you might have thought that shooting it would be the right choice, because that's how he opened the little carousel thing with a little girl inside it. When you reach the bottom, you've cleared it. Mental locks. When you release a mental lock, the progress moves. The number of mental locks and how to release them depend on the subject. Somnium 2 mental locks. Retry will allow you to return to a save point just after. Yeah, we don't get to do that. But you only have 3 retries. Or maybe we should be allowed to use those. Going back, 1 lock costs 1, going back 2 costs 2, and going back 3 will cost all 3. You regain your 3 retries by selecting restart from the menu after failing. But we won't have that option. This is likely your best option if time is low. So which of those should be the failure state? We should define it now. You only have 3 retries. Going back, so we should be able to use the 3 retries, but we shouldn't be able to restart. You regain your 3 retries, but we shouldn't. From the menu or by failing the sync. Best option if time is low. No, your best option is just to fail or just to solve it in the first place. Tips menu. In the menu, you gain access to file, flowchart, options, and guide, which we already did. File, which is what we're in right now, in fact. File contains information about things you've investigated or people you've spoken to. It will be filled out as the story progresses. In the flowchart, you can view the progress of the story and see the branching paths. Chapters will be added by progressing through the story. You can jump to a certain point in the story by selecting a chapter and then investigation progress. It's interesting that they took such time to voice act so many things in a game that seems kind of obscure. Maybe it's better known and received than I'm aware of. You can change your in-game options here. Changes made here will be applied to all save files. Oh, whoops. Save. This game will save automatically, but you could also manually save here. Here as in, not here, but in the menu it's talking about. Top menu. When you want to quit the game, you can return to the title screen by hitting the top menu in the upper right of the screen. Okay, so that was quite a bit there in the appendix. We read through the persons. Now we can do the album, but then we have to go back and also do the flowchart, which had a lot of stuff as well. It's like as soon as it gives me this much stuff to read, I will do it. This is how I am in every game, especially even RPGs and stuff. The Witcher is kind of overwhelming with the amount of entries that it gave to you so early on in the game. Like within the first hour of the game, there's at least an hour plus stuff worth of stuff to read or to interact with, like talk to people and to look at like your skills and stuff. If you read through every single skill, that would take forever. Although I guess a lot of RPGs are like that. That just felt like above and beyond. Like it had some preconceived source material that was super detailed. Like it's based on a book or something. I don't even know what it's based on. But it's hard to believe it was just like an original game and they just came up with all that lore just for it. They must have had something to work off of. Date A. This was our first date. Ha ha ha. That was her drinking wine. And I wonder if it shows that just no matter what, or if or because we chose to make her drink the wine. This is just like character art, concept art for ourselves, our regular eye and our eye with the little eyeball thing in it. Seems pretty happy on the side there. And then we got one more. It just shows you like all the different objects, I guess. Something weird is happening to his face there. I'm not sure what that is. It almost makes it seem like we are an AI ourselves, like all our body parts are interchangeable. Or maybe we were injured there during the events that caused us to lose our memory and I'm sure we'll solve that case, like whoever did that to us, or maybe we already know. Or it could have just been an accident, period. So that's the eyeball being taken out and put into the wine glass for some reason, which didn't happen in the vision itself. Maybe that's an option that I didn't choose. This is the evolver, so I imagine we're going to use that a lot. That was what we opened the door with. Not by using it to shoot, but just by literally sticking it in there, I think. But that seems a lot wider, where like it couldn't possibly fit. The front of it seemed a little bit thin. Just a tip, as he said. A lot of innuendo in that scene with a 5-year-old AI girl. It is always weird with machines like that. Like, you could be 1 year old. If you know, they do have like Japanese sex dolls and stuff. So, like, it just came out. It was just made, so it's technically only 1 year old. We have 3 of these to look at. I don't know what that means. Begin investigation. Stop the current investigation and start investigating day 1 Friday to sign AI. Now, I'm assuming it would just let you replay the scene. So I don't want to do that. You could just kind of go back and do it. Reopen. This would be like maybe a scene that you could go to, or what? Done. Near the... I guess if you mess something up, you could go back and try to replay it. But again, I probably shouldn't be able to do that. Like, if the story continues, that's one thing. But if it's like something where you just have to do it in order to progress, otherwise you just game over. I'm not even going to click any of that because I don't want it to do that. But near the merry-go-round, 1054 near the merry-go-round again. Central Hospital. So what would be the difference in these 2 scenes? Probably this is just the beginning, and this is like right when you're about to discover the center console to find the little girl and use the x-ray stuff. Case file. A cold and rainy Friday night in November. The body of a woman was discovered at the merry-go-round in the abandoned amusement park known as Bloom Park. The corpse was bound and displayed on one of the horses. I guess we didn't get to look at it super close, like to see... We just saw the eyeball. I didn't really notice the restraints. Date and Aiba arrived at the scene and began their... It's going to be like one of those... what was it that people kept complaining about my pronunciation? Prosecutor Sadmati in Spirit of Justice became sodomy. Not just because I didn't like him, but just because it's easier to say. And it almost feels like that's kind of the pun that you could go along with to say it. Like, it almost seems intended because so many of the names are super punny. Like Damon Gant is Demon Gent, which is not super clear or obvious. So in the same sense, you could say like, oh, it might not seem like Sadmati is meant to be sodomy, but that was one nickname that people didn't like, but I think it caught on after a while that I kept calling him that for the whole playthrough. And then the other one was in Danganronpa, I did Bayuka instead of Byakuya because I just kept misreading it. There wasn't anything attached to that. I guess Leon was technically Larry Butts, but that's just because he kind of looks like him. So in this case, I'm going to keep calling Date Date. So Date and Aiba arrived at the scene and began their investigation. The victim was Shoko Nadami, an acquaintance of Date's. She was missing her left eye, likely taken by the culprit. Then came a sound from the central column. Thinking quickly, Date ran up to the column's door and shot it open to discover a girl inside. I don't know if shooting it was really necessary, though. Mizuki. And it wasn't very quickly on my end, because I just kept looking around trying to investigate other stuff. Because I'm the type who would, like how I left the girl hanging there. Somebody's tied up with a rope, abducted, and I look around and collect all the coins, like in Professor Layton, before I go to talk to them. But technically that's true. You can say, oh, that's just you being a jerk and a dick as a player. But technically if you don't get the coins, then you never get to go back to that scene again, so you technically miss them. So that's almost like the designer playing like Mistopheles kind of a Faustian game with you to see like what a dick you're going to be if they dangle little coins and collectibles in front of you during a high octane scene. But technically that is the correct way to do it, because if you don't do it, you're not going to be able to, because it's like one of those scripted scenes that will progress on its own. So the victim was Shoko Nadami. She was missing her left eye, likely taken by the culprit before she died. Came a sound from the central column. Thinking quickly, ran up to the column's door and shot it open to discover a girl inside, Mizuki. She was shaking from the shock and clenching something in her hands, an ice pick with a bloodstain on it. Okay. What is the second one then? You are here. I'm at the third one, aren't I? I guess it shows it coming from up above. Friday, day 1. Sinking in the brain. Bray-I-N. Whatever. So you see her drinking wine there, all chill on the couch, which is not really how she did it. You see the eye being stuffed in there. So these are some of the same pictures from before, which we didn't get to see either of those scenes exactly in the vision, so... or in the dream. Begin it. Stop the current investigation and start investigating Friday, day 1, sinking in the brain. So it just lets you replay stuff, I suppose. Subject is ourselves. No, it shouldn't say nobody. It should just say self or our name, which I forget our last name. Location, apartment, goal, wake, date, up. Date's dream world. In this strange and surreal dream, it should say Date's dream world in the subject category instead of in the description. In this strange and surreal dream, trust the light to wake up Date. Just the light as in turning on the lights, even though we had the option to turn them off after, or maybe that was just a little lamp on the side. Because there was a little section that said shut off the light. Begin investigation. Stop the current investigation and start investigating day 2 Saturday, which is kind of where we are anyway, so I guess it wouldn't do anything, but it would just reset the dialogue and stuff. Most of this has just been me reading the shit. Abyss HQ, boss's office. I wonder if there's going to be an investigation that's complicated enough to take up every single spot on the page. You would think there would be, or why would they put so many, but maybe sometimes they just do that to make it look like a complete thing to cover the whole screen. So how many are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 slots. The day after Shoko's corpse was discovered, Date visited Abyss HQ to exchange information with boss. Aiba claimed to know who reported the body. Claimed to know who reported the body. So, I guess we haven't been told that yet so far. There's still more to talk about with the boss. We just kind of got sidetracked by the fact that that was mentioned. Like, you have access to your file, do we? So we just stopped the conversation, let her sit here staring at us lovingly like she's doing. I guess she's kind of looking off to the side sometimes. And imagine that, like, your boss mentions you have this file, and she's just sitting there waiting to talk to you for half an hour while you read through it.
Interrogators say she hasn't said a word since we found her.
We're going to have to go in her dream and help solve the case that way. That's going to be the core mechanic. So it's not actually going to be a direct face-to-face interrogation where you're just going to slip into their brain and...
Doctors say she's traumatized. She can't speak. She's seeing a specialist at Central Hospital right now.
Did you take her to the hospital after we found her?
Yeah.
Were you with her this whole time? You're like her legal guardian then.
No. She just lives with me.
Yeah, that's totally not a conflict of interest that should get you booted from the case. In fact, she specifically chose you for the case because you were personally involved with it. How perfect and amazing. Mizuki, girl we found in the merry-go-round, who is basically your adopted daughter, you may as well say, in the 6th grade. So what about the mother? How come you were taking care of her for like years before the mother just died? Certain circumstances brought us to live together, but we aren't blood related. Sort of like a stray cat that found her way into my home. That's kind of an insulting way to say it. Did you not like her?
Case, we're not going to get anything from her.
We can get something from her mind about Renju.
Have you picked up Renju yet?
He's at a police station nearby being interviewed.
Oh, is he the one who discovered the body? I forget how we came up with that. The AI must have told us and it went over my
He's
head.
not a suspect yet, just standard procedure stuff.
Oh no, he's not the one who found the body. He's just the ex-husband. Okay, these names are tricky for me to figure out. Not to mention an old friend of mine, so you wouldn't think
I wonder what Renju was doing last night.
it was him. But you would think the girl would be suspected, the 12-year-old girl who
I
is
called him a few times. He didn't answer.
holding the weapon.
He didn't?
But they're not being very forceful about insisting that she's a suspect yet.
The local police tried his phone too, but...
Did call him,
got
he
the
didn't
same
answer.
result.
So he could be the suspect and the culprit. I mean,
No
there's
one was able to get a hold of him until this morning.
there's nobody else that we've met, so it would have to be him by Ace Attorney logic, right? They'll introduce one other character besides the defendant and the victim, so it must
We
be.
explained the situation to him. Had him verify Shoko's corpse.
And how much do you adjust your
That's when we
legs?
started asking him questions.
Do we get to ask him questions, or do we just get to go in his brain and mindfuck him? Did we ever identify who called it in? It probably wasn't him then if they weren't in contact with him.
The person who reported the screaming?
Right.
Unfortunately, not yet.
Apparently our Aiba knows.
The holdup.
They didn't identify themselves over the phone.
You should have a location by now.
All we know is that it was a payphone.
Payphone? That's odd.
They're trying to disguise themselves, or they could have just been in a it must have been a payphone from the scene itself then at the carnival that probably wouldn't be working because that place hasn't been used in years.
It is unusual. Whoever it was clearly didn't want us knowing their identity. May have even been the killer.
That's kind of a huge leap to make, though. You can't really discriminate against anonymous caller for... I missed a piece of dialogue on the left there, too. Or she's just going to show off that she knows who called. Fuck, I hate missing stuff like that. Okay, that's how it becomes that shape that I was questioning. How can it be like that? That's how it appears when it's talking to us, too, doesn't it? Like on the side, which doesn't really make sense. Or maybe it doesn't. Let's see, what does our boss really think about this thing anyway? Because she's mocking us for not having a cell phone.
Hello.
No, not hello. I told you not to just pop out of nowhere like that.
This is how she goes around and terrorizes stuff, which is her major hobby.
I do not understand your concern. Boss knows me by now.
Well, still.
By now, yeah, and we've been working for over 6 years here, but we are not even on first name basis. It's just one of those things they do for the benefit of the player, but it makes a lot of sense when you're so experienced. You lost your memory from 6 years ago and past, but not from the past 6 years. So why the fuck don't you know her name? AI site. So I don't really know what this means. What are we even looking at? Normal. Menu is here. Something new in the file already. I'm not going to read it like every 5 seconds like that, but we'll have to remember what is new or look for it. What am I even supposed to be doing here? We're using the AI sites. So we can't talk to her. We can't seem to interact with anything. Maybe reading that stuff would give me an insight. So we're looking around. We can't really do anything though. Fine, let me read it just because I can. Renju is just the husband, which we already read this, so what is different? He wasn't able to... He has been a close friend. Like, what is different? He likes unusual things. He dislikes ordinary things. I don't know if that was in there before. Or maybe we didn't have him. It just felt like we did. Renju Okiura, male, 37, April 13th. Entertainment company and maid cafe manager. Works, hobbies. His descriptions are so weird. He likes unusual things. He dislikes ordinary things. His hobby is to work. He enjoys songwriting, which could also be a hobby. Just because you enjoy something doesn't mean it's a skill. Renju manages the entertainment office, Lemniscate, and maid cafe Sunfish Pocket. He's the ex-husband of Shoko Nadami and Mizuki's father. He has been Date's close friend for 5 years. So what happened with the... Like, it's a breakup in which the custody battle goes to some random stranger who's a friend of the wife, not of the mother. Custody didn't go to Renju, and it didn't go to the mother, apparently. I don't get what happened there. Because that whole entry was just new altogether. The appending, so what would be new here? Or at least updated, so it could be something that was already there, but it obviously wasn't. Aphonia, where she can't speak. A medical condition in which a person cannot speak, usually from some kind of stress or trauma, similar to muteness, not the same condition as aphasia, which is the loss of ability to understand speech entirely. Central Hospital, a large hospital in the Minato district, so we personally took her there ourselves. Must break some law somewhere for somebody involved in the investigation themselves to do that. Well, maybe not, but just the way that we can target stuff on there. It's confusing that you can interact with stuff outside the box when I just kept moving the camera itself. Police officer mannequin.
He talks?
Name date. Oh, that's her full name. You're so handsome. Who are you? Hello.
You. You're a handsome looking man. Oh, no, stop it.
Are you okay, Date?
Yeah, not any weirder than you talking to the mannequin like that or considering people on a poster to be your husband.
Perhaps it's time for his medication.
Right, he even said he's concerned about her mental health of his boss when she mentioned the mannequin thing.
Who are you? My name is Kaname Date. I work as a special agent for the investigation squad Abyss at MPD.
And I don't even know my sexy boss's name.
Hello, me. Did you know that the Zhuang people are the largest ethnic minority in China? Yeah, just a little trivia for you. I'm full of useful information.
That's kind of an oxymoron, though. Largic ethnic minority. The largest but the smallest at the same time. Like, what does that mean? Yeah, that doesn't even make sense. What does that mean? Largest minority. So the largest that isn't the majority, I guess, but then it doesn't feel like a minority anymore.
I've been thinking a lot lately. About myself. If I have another mind inside me, am I really me?
I mean, you just experienced that yesterday for the first time.
It reminds me of something Arthur Rimbaud once wrote. I is another.
Meaning,
You have to figure that out for yourself. That's the point.
I is another.
hey, so about my left eye.
Now's not the time to talk about that.
That's literally what is in front of us, though.
Hey, what does love mean to you?
I asked about the AI, didn't I?
Where's this coming from?
Just answer the question.
Let me guess. You're asking me because the Japanese word for love is I, right? Like a pun?
I didn't even know that it was that. Imagine having seen so many animes and even in sub and having had so much experience with Japanese stuff and I didn't even know that.
I'm right, aren't I?
Or maybe I did know, but I forgot.
You dork.
That hurts, you know. Hey, boss, is it possible to do something about her personality?
Don't ask me. I didn't create her. Get Pewter to tinker with her.
Must be the
Wasn't
tech guy.
eyeball your idea, though?
Yeah, but I didn't choose her personality or the way she talks.
It's all because you refused to get a cell phone for some reason.
You can thank Pewter for that.
Or maybe he couldn't help it. Sometimes they do have like a mind of their own, as they say. It's me. I don't think I'll ever get used to seeing myself with my own eye. It's called looking in the mirror, isn't it? You do the same thing. It isn't really my eye. Aiba's my left eye. So what happened to your other eye then? But I see what she sees as if it were my own eye. Her body I don't see what's so weird about that. Boss is looking at Aiba. No, she's not. Only when you look at her, she starts to look at it.
Is that a serious question? We've been partners for 5 years.
Yeah, but we don't even know the boss's name, so is that not a serious question
You
too?
know who I am. Aren't I? I receive that compliment frequently.
Oh, I didn't even see what I
Her
said.
attitude isn't, though.
You know, you are kind of cute like that.
So, am I cute or not cute?
I'm just exhausting all the flavor text, honestly.
I was joking.
I don't understand your joke. Can you explain what's funny about it?
Yeah, can she complain about sexual harassment too? Have two complaints right next to each other and one isn't even human.
I haven't been getting a lot of exercise lately.
You're joking, right?
In 5 years since we first met, this is the first time she's ever fucked with your dreams, or I guess she's just saying like we don't remember it. But it's weird that in 6 years that wouldn't have come up. In fact, they made it seem like a norm. Like, oh, this isn't normally what we do. We don't normally go to the crime scene ourselves to look at the body. We just normally fuck with people's heads. But then for some reason, she's fucking with our own head. Or maybe that's what he meant, like just the first time it's happened to him. But he seems so unfamiliar with the whole thing. So I don't get it. One day I got called in the control room and Pewter, the engineer, showed it to me. So you were just a regular detective at that
The
time.
official title is Aiba. You may call her Aiba. The artificial intelligence contained within this sphere is nothing short of miraculous. An autonomous artificial intelligence birthed from collective nanotechnology. Its ability to think is controlled by a program we call the Wadjet system.
Does everybody get one of these? Like the boss doesn't have one, or maybe it's just convenient because we lost our eye, as if you couldn't have it in some other kind of way, or just use it as like a standalone device, like how it's sitting on the table now. Why do you have to actually put it into your fucking literal eye? even if you had like, oh, it augments your vision and stuff, or lets you see X-ray, you could always just put it on for a second, like as glasses or some other form, or just put it in front of your eye to see through it, like have a lens. But you don't need to fucking literally do that. It's just convenient because you happen to
Agent Date, from today forward, this is your partner.
lose your eye. And so why would you give it to somebody who's so technologically challenged or resistant that he doesn't even have a phone? Like, why do they always foist this stuff on the person who likes it the least? Like Hank in Detroit hates androids and he's very technologically backwards, but yet they give it to him as some sort of pseudo punishment.
She will be your personal computer and your personal companion.
Yeah, we already have the boss for that. Living in my head ever since, but it seemed like you weren't really aware of that part. She gathers info and runs analysis. She's just been living in your eye. The head thing seems to be a new development. She can also access wireless networks and hack into other computers. While she's in my eye socket, she can communicate through an artificial nerve to my brain. It lets us talk without actually speaking. So, that's cool and all, but what's the point of this scene? Boss is looking at Aiba. Could just be looking away from you every time you stare at her like that. Okay, back inside. Why did you come out?
Okay, really now. What's the real reason you came out?
There is something I need to report to the boss.
Couldn't you just do it to report it to me and then I could report it to the boss? That's how this should work. So the pecking order goes the boss, us, and then you.
To me?
Correct. I could have had the message relayed through Date, but that would have been less efficient.
Really? It's more efficient to jump out of my eye, go on the table, and dick around?
Concluded that it was better to have the both of you hear this together.
Yeah, that's not how this should work. Or you should have some external voice capacity then, where you can talk through my eye to other people.
Aren't you wasting a lot of time explaining this?
Please listen quietly. I have determined who reported the crime.
Huh?
You have?
So they're not used to that AI being this useful, even though they've been working with it for years. You would think this would be a common occurrence. So the first person you would think to ask when you don't know something is this. Left eyeball is Aiba. She sees things differently than I do.
I found the payphone that the caller used. It was near the location of the crime, Bloom Park.
Okay, at least I kind of guessed that one.
Thus, I decided to check the surveillance footage of any security cameras operating nearby.
And you just have the right to do that? No invasion of privacy issues with this thing? An AI can just do it at will. But maybe you might say, oh, that makes them suspicious, but it could just be that they don't have a cell phone just like you do.
So you found a way into that database.
That is correct.
Just like you don't, I mean.
That area has little foot traffic, even less at night. The time of the report was around 9 p.m. Cameras only caught one person in the area around that time.
Is it going to be the husband? It couldn't be, unless he was like masking his voice or something.
I analyzed the footage and was able to obtain a facial recognition match. They were registered as a person of interest in the police database.
Oh my god, who was it?
Oto Matsushita.
Matsushita Ota, 24 years old. I have marked his address on the map.
I actually did pretty good with the pronunciation there. That should be like a little mini game test. Like how we set all these different rules, like a character point system and things like that in games like this. It doesn't really work here because there's not enough characters to justify it. It's good in something like Danganronpa, but that should be a hard mode challenge here. We have to try to pronounce the names ourselves. And if we get it too wrong, then we have to delete we just die.
That is all.
Before they say it. So it showed up on the screen before that at least.
Date?
Way ahead of you, boss. Let's go, Aiba.
Affirmative.
You can just chill here, rocking her legs back and forth the whole time. When you're able to visit, talking to her mannequin, visit a new location, map will appear. Open the map, pick a destination. You can always check the tutorial by going to menu, file, appendix. Yeah, we go back inside.
No,
I'm giving you an order.
does not compute.
So what? I'm supposed to leave without you? Just without anything in my eye? And like what goes in the space between that? Like isn't this painful? You just squint? I wonder how this would work. We can go out the door though seemingly, so what's the difference between map and this? The entrance. Oh, you can't leave like that though, I guess. Oh, it's confusing because the controller doesn't match the placement of this. It shows right button up at the top. It shows map at the right, which is actually B. It shows menu as X, which is actually to the left, and then it shows log as left button, so it has nothing to do with the controller that you're using, I guess. Even though it recognizes the buttons that you have available correctly based on what you're playing on. I guess it must be on other systems too, but it doesn't recognize the position of them, or it just doesn't care to put them there. It was actually up to use the map. Matsushita Diner. I think I botched the pronunciation this time when I got it correct the first time. Let's see if we can just go immediately back to the office, for example. They always tease you with mechanics like this that you actually can't do, like Kathy riding the bike on the screen, but you can't actually control it. Saturday, 10/18.
Oh, hello.
I think this is a good place to... I just want to do like a little intro to it. See, normally I would just beat the whole first case, but obviously my schedule is a little different now, which is fine, you know. And also we spend most of the time just reading all the goddamn flavor text. So it's hard to decide now because the Gauntlet kind of has a mind of its own, whether sometimes it'll be a story game, sometimes it'll be a hard mode type of thing. But I will do these along with a hard mode for now. So tomorrow I'll start that. Dork, a loser or geek? I don't know why it's trying to do stuff like that. They have way too many spaces, but a lot of them are just going to be one-offs like that. I hope they keep adding to it, though, over the course of the story. Like, somebody also call us that in a positive way or something. They always insinuate that you can have some kind of relationship with one of the characters, like the boss, but I kind of doubt that's actually going to happen. It's kind of cool when they do let you do that. Like, Danganronpa seems to at least do that. Unable to save twice, okay.